for about a year, I worked for the band Trivium. I don't know if you know who Trivium is.
Oh yeah.
So my friend Nick, was their drum tech, and their drummer for like their entire career up to that point, he was fired, and they hired Nick to fill in on a tour, and he did such a great job that they were like, "Hey, do you want to do this full time?" And he was like, "Fuck yeah,
Yeah, I'll
get
take
paid
it.
and tour and play music. Like, I gotta be stupid to not do that."
Yeah, getting paid part is the part we've always been missing.
It's like, yeah, so that's like my dream. So I'll do that. So Nick was the drummer for a grind band called Maruda. I don't know if you remember Maruda or not.
Mm-hmm. Were they from Florida?
But they are. Yeah.
Okay.
They were from
we
Miami.
played with them once, I think.
I when I first met them and first played with them, it was with Minorage. It was my first show with them, and it was in Pittsburgh, and they were on a tour, and they were coming up through, and we ended up playing with them again, I think like 2 more times when we were doing that. But anyway, he joined the band. Maruda had quit Maruda and joined doing that, and hired me as his drum tech, I was like, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Let's do that. So I did a tour with them. It was a really cool experience, but it sucked at the same time, because it was like, man, I really just want to be playing in front of all these people and not setting this shit up,
right,
and standing back and watch someone else do it.
Yeah, I totally get that.
I was like, I would sit behind him, and just like, the cool thing about the tour that I teched for them was it was in Australia and New Zealand.
Oh, no shit. I didn't know that, man. Yeah. That's fucking cool.
It was, actually, I think I have a thing right here, I think. Yep. I have my, itinerary for the tour.
That's really cool.
This was a lot of fun, but it was also like just not the thing I wanted to do. But it was in those 2 countries, and I think it was we were gone for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and we had to fly to every show that we went to, and all of the shows were stadium shows.
Holy shit.
Which was something I had never ever experienced, because we were support on that tour for Disturbed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, I know, like, people are like, oh, they're Disturbed.
None of those people will ever play a show that size. So
no. It was, we were in the middle of the three bill support. It was Disturbed, us, and As I Lay Dying.
Wow.
Yeah, and this was before the roids made our man go crazy.
Right.
And it was like right before that, which is insane, because I had great conversations and hung out with him like in a group setting, and he was like the nicest dude ever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we did that, and when I decided in New Zealand, which was our last bit of shows that we did, I was like, this just isn't for me. And my friend Nick, at the time, he wasn't great to work for. So we parted ways, and we, rekindled our friendship a few years later, which was nice. But I was like, this is not something I want to do. I don't want to be the setup guy. I want to be playing.
Well, mad respect for making that decision, because, you could have easily said, well, it's a cool job. I get to be at all these big shows and go around the world and probably get paid more than I would as a drummer right now in the bands I've been in.
Yes,
but to stick to your guns and say, like, no, I want to perform, so I got to step away and keep chasing that.
Yeah, it's exactly how I felt. And I was like, I am making money. Yes, I'm on the Roadrunner payroll, which is cool. I didn't make a ton, but
yeah,
I got to travel. I got all my, hotel expenses and food basically paid for. I got per diem every day. And, on that tour, it was super nice because we had catering.
Yeah.
And so like every day, like at, 5 o'clock, it was like, hey, come have a really awesome meal in this
Yep.
stadium where you're playing that's going to be filled with people. And like, we played the Rod Laver Arena, which is a huge tennis arena in Australia, like sold it out. Like, what the fuck?
That's insane.
Like, I almost puked when I went up to do sound check for Nick's drums the first night, which was that show.
Yeah.
Like, I was so fucking nervous to get up there and like sound check his shit because,
right.
I have to go through and like, hit each drum, do all the cymbals, and then Boz, our tour manager, was like, all right, give me something. And I would just like try and like think of some fucking cool shit like to do. And like half the time I would just end up doing Territory by Sepultura, and, the crowd would go fucking ape shit. And I was like, God damn, this feels incredible. Like,
yeah, dude, that's got to be so bittersweet because you're right there. It's like, this is what it's like, but it's not me. That's gotta sting so bad. I get it completely.
It was the weirdest feeling because I was like, guys, you could guys come up here and I could probably play like 4 or 5 of these.
Yeah.
Like right now. Like, it's fine. And I almost got that wish on that tour, which was scary in its own right. But even scarier because Nick, I don't know what was going on with him, but we were in a van and we were traveling from the hotel to the arena, and they were listening to the mixes on an iPod. Like, you know how you used to plug your iPod into one of those little boombox things that were like this big? And they were listening to their new mixes of In Waves, which was getting ready to come out later, later on that year. They were all in the van. We were listening to it on this little speaker thing. And Nick, like, he didn't look so hot. Like, he said he wasn't sleeping good. I think he was just up partying super hard, like every night. And it just kind of caught up to him. And he was holding oh, dude, like, those dudes know how to party, like 2 of them at least. And he was holding this boombox while we were driving, and all of a sudden his eyes just rolled back into his head and he dropped it, and he just like passed out.
What the fuck?
And so we had to pull over, and they were like slapping his face to like get him to wake up. And he was just like, it took a minute, but he came to, and they were like giving him water, and like he was in a rough way. And the one dude that plays guitar in there, his name's Corey. He was like, he turned around and looked at me. He goes, "How quickly can you learn a set?" And I was like, I'll give it my best. Like, I know some of these songs,
right?
And then Nick was like coming to, and like he later on that night after they played the show, he was like, I'm glad we didn't have to go that route, but he was like, it almost happened for you. And I was like, oh God, like that would have just been like just so insane.
Yeah, that's insane because it's like you want your friend to be okay, but also you want to play the show. So you're like, shit, can you just be better tomorrow instead of right now?
Right. Yeah. Like I would have stepped up and done my best and done what I could.
Right.
But like, I'm glad that it didn't have to happen because, that would just,
because you also don't want the memory of being unprepared and fucking up or something. But I think you would have killed it because sometimes when you just get in that mode where you're like, I have to do this and it's got to be great. So you just fucking do it.
You just soldier through it. I would have been so nervous, but I think I probably could have done, I probably could have done an 80%, I think just because of like the songs they were playing on that tour were songs that I had heard, I liked their second album, Ascendancy, a lot.
Yeah.
And by that time, I think we had already played like 4 shows. So like watching Nick play, knowing the songs from that, just kind of seeing what he was doing, like I could have probably muscle memoried through it.
Right.
But I'm glad that it didn't happen. But getting back to King's Blood thing, I had left doing that, which was kind of a bummer because I thought, like you said, it was, a cool job. I was getting to see all these 6 shows. the reason it bummed me out big time was because, like, you know, the next tour they had coming up was in like a couple months later, and it was the Mayhem Festival.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, they were going to be bussing for that, like being on a bus. I'd never done that. So that would have been cool to do. And then after that, they were going to play Wacken open air, like in front of like thousands of people.
Yeah.
And you know, that would have been cool to go to and see and experience. But, you know, the little bit that I did is I'll forever be grateful for, and it'll be a memory that I'll have forever.
Yeah, that's a hell of an experience no matter what.